Hello and welcome to my channel, Commas and Ampersands. My name is Sarah and in this video I am going to be trying to read some of my lowest rated books. It is mid-June. I have just finished filming a couple of videos and I am partway through what I'm pretty sure is going to be the last book that I'll be able to finish before the end of Blessed Be the Readathon. And I don't really have any plans for the rest of the month. I've already read nearly 8 books, which is pretty much what I would read in the course of an entire month. My Goodreads want to read shelf is only the books that I physically own and haven't read. So I just sorted them according to average rating and picked out some of the lowest rated books. I have a feeling that a few of them will be DNFs, and that means that I can just lower my TBR even more. The very lowest rated book on my TBR is The Sultan Seal by Jenny White. This is supposed to be a powerful blend of murder, mystery and romance set in the Ottoman court. I don't mind most of those things. Murder and mystery and the Ottoman court. That seems interesting to me. I think someone maybe gave this to me for my birthday one year. And I am sure that if they gave it to me that they loved it, but depends how much romance there is in it. I'm going to try not to read reviews of these books before I start them because I don't really want to know what it was that people didn't like. But this one is rated 3.37 from 972 reviews. The next book is The Shining Girls by Lauren Bukes. I picked this one up because I saw the author speak at my first ever Brisbane Writers Festival a few years ago, and from what I remember it is a serial killer, time travel. That's all I remember, but that probably would have sold me alone. This has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.49 from 35,833 ratings. That's like a fair amount of ratings for it to average out to 3.49. And I mean 3.5, I don't consider that to be a bad rating. I think that's like above average. So maybe it won't be crap. I don't know. The next book is The Perfect Mother by Amy Malloy. Is it a mystery? Is it a thriller? Riveting psychological thriller. I do like a good psychological thriller. Hopefully I'm not going to guess the twist because I have a tendency to fucking do that. That one has an average rating of 3.54 from 35,387 ratings. So again, not bad overall. Maybe just like not amazing. Maybe other people guess the twist. Then there is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. To be quite frank, I haven't seen any good reviews of The Hazelwood. I have seen a lot of people being like, what the fuck was that? It doesn't seem like it's going to be my thing. I am pretty certain that I am going to DNF this book, but I don't want to because it's so pretty. That one has 3.60 from 36,064 ratings. I thought it would be lower, but it's still in the lowest rated. And then finally there is Amber and Dusk by Lara Celine. Both this and The Hazelwood were Outcrate books. I haven't heard very much about this book at all, and I remember them giving out their like monthly clues as to what the book was going to be and being like, I got nothing. I've never heard of this. I haven't seen any hype for it. I don't really see, like, I don't know what's so amazing about it. It has an average rating of 3.61 and that's only from 1,432 ratings. So considering the amount of Outcrate boxes that you see going out in their behind the scenes stuff, it looks like not a lot of people have either picked this up or have finished it to rate it. I was about to finish up and then I saw that this says a dazzling and romantic feast for the imagination. This girl Sylvie is looking for things, and however no one, including her cruel yet captivating sponsor, will answer her questions. Cruel yet captivating sponsor seems to me like it would be the code for fuckboy. I hope it's not, because I'm so done with reading about these shitty men. So these are the 5 that I have picked. The Sultan Seal, The Shining Girls, The Perfect Mother, The Hazelwood, and Amber and Dusk. They are all at or below a 3.61 average rating. I don't like to go into something assuming that I'm going to hate it or assuming that I'm going to DNF it. But at this point, I feel like I have TBR fatigue, so I wouldn't be mad if I just like wiped all of these books off my TBR really quickly. That would actually be totally fine with me. I will come back here in a couple of weeks with the verdict and let you know how it went. I'm in my room, it's a typical Tuesday night. I'm reading all the kinds of books I don't like. So yeah, that's the story. It is Tuesday the 25th of June. I've just gotten home from work and I thought I would give you a bit of an update. Those aren't my dark circles, by the way. That's the light making me look, I mean, I haven't slept. I do have dark circles, but They're not this bad. So I read the first chapter of The Sultan's Seal, which is 50 pages long. 32 pages long. Felt like 100 though. Felt like 100. Like, I got bored in the middle of the first chapter. I put it down. I picked it up like a week and a half later. And it was still boring. I read until the end to see if something would hook me. A woman's body has been found dumped in a river and they're trying to figure out who killed her. I still don't care, which is not a promising sign considering that's everything that the book revolves around. I also didn't like the writing style. It was very exposition heavy, and the exposition wasn't about things that I actually found useful at that point in time. It felt like one of those books where the author was like, I've worked out all of the backgrounds for these characters and you must know them. You must. Not because it is relevant at this point in time, but because I must show you that I have done so. I don't really enjoy that kind of heavy exposition very early on in a novel because I feel, and this is just a personal thing, I know that a lot of people do love knowing all of those details right from the get-go, but to me it's like a character in a book is a person that I'm meeting for the first time, and when I'm meeting someone for the first time, I'm not really going to sit there and listen to half an hour of obscure detail about their lives that isn't relevant to the conversation. You know, you have chats over time, you get to know the person better and better, and more of their history is revealed to you. And people can still surprise you later on and tell you a story that you didn't know anything about. When it's kind of like, you must know all about this character immediately, that I find very off-putting because it's not how I like to meet people, and it's not how I like to meet book characters. Saying it out loud like that, I realize how specific that might be. But that's just how I feel. So because I wasn't enjoying the writing style and I wasn't hooked despite the fact that there was a murder, I decided not to continue with it. And, you know, I have read some of the reviews on Goodreads now, and I feel like it's pretty consistent. The people who seem to dislike this book from the start didn't grow to like it more, from what I can see. So that one is out. That is a big old DNF. Put that on my DNF shelf. And the next one that I read, or that I'm reading at the moment, is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This book is really, really frustrating for me because sometimes I'm reading it and I'm like, you know what, this is actually really interesting, I want to keep going. And sometimes I'm reading it and I'm just like, this is horrible, I hate everything about it, I want to put it down. And the reason I haven't put it down yet is because I didn't have another book with me. I like the fairy tale parts of it. I think the fairy tale parts are really interesting and dark and eerie and atmospheric. I don't like Alice, and I keep having to look up what her name is because she's just like this annoying clump of a human being. I have no emotion towards her. I mean, she pisses me off, but not so much that I want to give up the book. She's just very null. I care about Ellery, and quite frankly I think he would have made a more interesting main character. I think we can scrap Alice altogether. I think Ellery could go and investigate the disappearance by himself. I don't think this shit needs to happen. Maybe it'll prove me wrong, but I'm still not sure whether or not I'm DNFing this book because I keep going, oh, I'll read a little bit more, and then I get angry and I put it down, and then I read a little bit more and I'm interested, and so I keep going. It's a very confusing. That's how I feel, Leo. I don't really have anything else on tonight, so I'm probably just going to read a little bit more of The Hazelwood and see if my love-hate relationship... It's not even love-hate, it's just like ambivalence. I'll see if my ambivalent attitude towards this continues. End of update. I'm done with this book. I'm not like finished it, but I'm done. I think there's like 110 pages left, and I can't be bothered to read them because, you know what, it's gotten past that point. I've been reading it for a little while tonight, and it's gotten past that point where it's like there's creepy fairy tales and there's like really interesting vibes happening, and now it's directly into the Alice in Wonderland, everything is utter nonsense stage, and I just don't have patience for it. I like aspects of the Alice in Wonderland story overall, but the nonsense thing has never really done it for me, I will admit. And I've just been reading. For the past 20 minutes, my reading has just been me on my Kobo being like, I've no idea what the fuck's going on, Alice is boring, I'm bored, I hate this. I think that was the catalyst. So I'm definitely actually going to DNF this book now, because it's not even on the cusp of disliking it but thinking that it could change. I think it's just at the moment descending into somewhere that I don't want to be. So that is The Hazelwood, DNF'd as well. Not mad about it. Confused, but not mad. I am 99 pages into Amber and Dusk by Lyra Celine. I'm buddy reading this with my friend Shane. I don't think either of us is really enjoying it. Like, the world building is not really doing it for me. The author's just kind of chucking out random words. Some of them are obviously more fantastical than others, and some of them are just slightly different spellings on English words to kind of make you think twice about what it could be. I don't feel like I have a real sense of the world at the moment, and I'm building a lot of it for myself and finding out 10 pages later that my assumption has been completely wrong because it wasn't described in the first place. Also, the main character Sylvie has like these magic powers, and she can conjure illusions in her hands, and sometimes she can change her face or whatever. She can do it for like 0.5 seconds and then she faints. But I'm supposed to believe that it's amazing enough to get her a place in court, and she thinks, well, it's not just that she wants it, she thinks that she deserves it, and is getting angry when anyone dares to question her, even the queen or the empress or whatever the fuck she is. And that kind of entitled attitude, just, it's in every chapter. I think 3 of the last few chapters that I've read ended with something about how she deserved to be in this world. And do you deserve to be in this world, or are you just annoying? I don't know. I said to Shane that if I didn't love it within the first 100 pages that I was going to give up. And I'm kind of going back and forth, because sometimes there's just like one tiny bit of information that has me interested to read the next chapter. And that's what's happened in this chapter. I am a little bit interested to keep going. But I feel like it's just going to end up like The Hazelwood, where I didn't enjoy it enough to feel motivated to read it, but I didn't hate it enough to just put it down straight away. I think the book's only 360 pages long, and I've already read 100 pages, so maybe I could still finish the book. We'll see. I'm not holding out a lot of hope at the moment, but I'm tired, so I'm gonna go to bed. Alright, I'm done with the books. I finished 1 out of 5. I honestly can't complain about this because I didn't really expect to enjoy any of these books. They kind of sounded vaguely interesting to me, but I wasn't seriously invested in whether or not I finished them. I'll give a little bit of a recap, because I know that sometimes my vlogging was either in the middle of a book or I just trailed off and I never finished it, so I will recap what happened. The Sultan's Seal by Jenny White. I stopped this one after a single chapter because the exposition and the writing style just wasn't doing it for me. I'm usually pretty keen for like a murder mystery thing, and the fact that after a chapter with a murder that should have been interesting, I was like, I don't really care. I think that really told me that it was the right choice to stop reading that. So this one was a DNF. The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I was sometimes interested, sometimes wasn't. It was, I don't know, it was a shame, because it was kind of this eerie, fascinating feeling for a little while, and then I just got lost completely and could not find any motivation to keep going. Once I decided I wasn't finishing this book, I didn't even have enough motivation to like skip to the end and see what the hell was happening or to look up spoilers online. I just didn't care. My neighbor's singing again. I think she can sense when I'm filming, and she just like decides that's the time to practice her vocal exercises. No other time of the week, but exactly when I start filming. Anyway, The Shining Girls by Lauren Bukes. I got to page 105 and then I gave up because there is a serial killer in a time-traveling house and I don't care. That is an incorrect way to respond to that kind of stimulus for me. So that just, yep, that's done. I will say that the audiobook narrator was kind of boring. Because it was on a separate device, it wasn't like just something that I could download onto my phone. I couldn't speed it up to the level that I would normally speed it up to, and so it did feel quite slow, but I took a break. I tried to actually read some of it, and the writing style still wasn't sticking for me, so audiobook wasn't great, but nor was the physical reading experience, so that one's done. And then there's Amber and Dusk by Lyra Celine. The last time I picked this up was the last time I vlogged about it. The only time that I have thought about this book since then is when I get into bed and I see it on my bedside cabinet and I'm like, oh, I haven't finished that book. And then I go to sleep. I don't sit there and go, oh, I should finish that book. I don't sit there and go, oh, I wonder what happens next. I just see it and I'm like, oh, that's a thing. And yeah, I just was not motivated to go back to it, and after 2 weeks I decided that was enough. If I didn't feel motivated to pick it up after 2 weeks of a break from it, then it's not going to be finished. So I got to like page 99, which I think was about 26% through the book. My friend Shane, who was buddy reading this book with me, he actually finished it and he gave it 2.5 stars. And he tends to be, I think, a little bit more generous with his reviews than I am. So if it was only 2.5 stars for him, then it's not something that I think I should have finished. I think I just would have gotten more and more annoyed. So that's 4. And the only one that I finished was The Perfect Mother by Amy Molloy. I think the only reason that I finished this is because it was an audiobook. It was on my phone. It was something that I could listen to pretty easily. This says, if you love Leanne Moriarty, you'll love The Perfect Mother. I've not read any Leanne Moriarty. I have seen the Big Little Lies TV show, and from what I have gathered from that, I feel this is maybe a little bit of a stretch to make that comparison. Had the narrator not been doing different voices for the women, I think I would have gotten confused a lot easier, because the general vibe for most people felt around the same to me. They did have slight differences in the way that they told the story, but it wasn't different enough to kind of make me want to go and see something from another character's point of view. It was just, oh, this person's back. Overall, it's okay. I probably wouldn't recommend it to anyone, and I definitely would not call it a psychological thriller, which is what someone has called it on the back. I would say it's more just like a mystery. I think the issue is that I wasn't like thrilled at any part. It just kind of plodded along and then the end arrived. And that is that. I don't really know what I was expecting to happen. I think I was hoping, not expecting, but I was hoping that one of the books would surprise me and I would really like it. And I would be like, oh, this rating is incorrect and people don't know what they're talking about. And it really didn't happen. I was either on par with people's general impressions of it, or I didn't care enough to finish the book. At least they're done, they're off my TBR, and I only have, I think, 20 or so books left on my TBR. I went back and watched some of the footage from the beginning of this, and I think I had said at that point that I had only just managed to get my TBR into my TBR cart, and now I've only got like 1.5 shelves left. So it's been a while, but I've obviously managed to speed through a bunch of other books in the meantime. So that is it. It ends not with a bang, but with a whimper. Ugh. At least it's done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.